Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus arcade video. Today we're going to be taking another look at Tekken Tag Tournament, released in 1999 on the Namco System 12 arcade hardware. Now if you didn't catch my previous video, this is actually the same hardware that runs Tekken 3. It was just 2 years later and they just made it into a tag game with tons of characters, as you can see here. But I thought today I would make it a little bit different and pick Nina Williams and Jin Kazama here. And just like in my Tekken 3 video, I actually pressed start and got his school outfit. And when I played a lot of Tekken 5 or even Tekken Dark Resurrection on the PSP, I always played as Nina a lot, so I figured why not give her a try and see how well I could do. And I kept on thinking to myself, yeah, there's no way you're going to get through this, and it's going to be like a really bad gameplay and just take forever. But since I had played so much of Jin Kazama when I was playing Tekken 3, it didn't end up being too hard at all, and everything ended up working really well, so the gameplay wasn't too bad. Although I can honestly say, this outfit for Nina Williams is not really my favorite. I prefer her blonde one, but I selected this one and then I did the whole gameplay, so that's what you're gonna end up seeing. Now, as far as graphics go, the backgrounds in this game tend to be a bit flatter than they were in Tekken 3. That's probably how they were able to load all these characters in memory at once and still keep like good-looking character models. And now, if you didn't see my previous video about Tekken Tag Tournament, I will quickly go through all the releases of this game. Of course, you had this arcade version on July 1st of 1999. PlayStation 2 version came out a year later in 2000. March 30th in Japan, October 26th in North America, and November 24th in Europe. Then in 2011, there was what was called Tekken Tag Tournament HD, which was just the PS2 version, but they upscaled the whole game to 720p for a package called Tekken Hybrid that included Tekken Tag Tournament HD and Tekken Tag Tournament 2 Prologue, which is basically just a game demo with 4 different characters in it. But as you can see, like if you look at this stage, you can see it's just using flat backgrounds. That's how it's able to keep the characters looking really good. And when they actually made the PlayStation 2 version, they were able to add in better looking backgrounds and more or less better looking graphics because they had the power of the PlayStation 2, as opposed to the Namco System 12 here, which is only like a little bit better than a PlayStation. And Jack always seems to make that noise when he dies, which I always thought was funny. Almost as funny as when Heihachi goes ooh.
Round 1, fight.
And whenever I see the snow stage in any game, I always think of that Nocturne in the Moonlight stage from Tekken 5, which is still one of my favorite Tekken games. And since I didn't mention in my other video, the arcade console versions of Tekken Tag Tournament slightly differ. The arcade version ran on a 32-bit engine, utilizing the graphics engine of Tekken 3. The graphics ran using the Tekken 3 PCB board based on PlayStation hardware. The console version ran on a highly upgraded engine, utilizing the PlayStation 2's graphic processor. The game does not run on a 32-bit engine, yet on a new, updated, highly similar to that found in Tekken 4. The background designs and BGMs differ too, as the console versions had new tracks, while the arcade version was based on MIDI tracks with instrumental backing. Unknown is not playable in the arcade version, yet is in the PlayStation 2, and the arcade version also allows players to only select alternate colors that have been added to the costumes at first, while the normally colored ones are unlocked when the bonus characters are.
Fight.
There are also crucial differences concerning the playability of characters, as some moves and attacks are much different in the arcade version than they are in the console version, and vice versa. As there were some changes when it came to the console version of this game, which, as I said, you played on PlayStation 2 or you played on PlayStation 3. It's basically the same game, they just upscaled it to 720p when it came to the PlayStation 3 Tekken Tag Tournament HD version. So honestly, if you are going to play Tekken Tag Tournament and you want like the best looking version, you really want to go for the PlayStation 3. But if you want to see how it was originally produced in the arcade, this is a really nice version to try out either on a Namco System 12 board like this, or in the arcades if you have one that actually still has this game. And I can remember when I played this, I was like, wow, I'm really facing Heihachi early. I guess I'm going to face him as a boss again. And what's funny is when I thought about this, I was like, well, Michelle was always like the, no, actually that was Julia, not Michelle, but I was going to say she was always like the sub-boss before Heihachi in Tekken 3 a lot, but I guess that was just kind of luck of the draw. But Julia Chang, if you don't remember my Tekken 3 videos, was a character who always beat me really badly. Although I definitely have to say, even though these backgrounds are rather flat to facilitate all the characters being rendered on the screen at once, they still look pretty decent considering. And of course, it's not one of those games where you'll have a bland-looking character and then a great-looking background. Everything tends to still blend in here pretty well together, so it doesn't look too bad in the end. Because I've seen some games where they'll do the 3D characters and fairly flat backgrounds, and everything will just kind of clash and not look good together. But this game strikes a fairly good balance when it comes to what everything looks all together. And I know I mention this every time I actually play Tekken, but every time I see Ganryu, he always makes me think of Takahashi from Virtua Fighter 3, Virtua Fighter 3 Team Battle, Virtua Fighter 5R, and Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, because unfortunately, when it comes to fighting games, the sumo characters are not nearly the most common characters in the world, and unfortunately, they're the ones who are always, like, not included when they end up not including somebody. But at least in Sega's case, they actually had a reason to not include Takahashi, because the physics engine of Virtua Fighter 4 would have not really been able to render that character properly, unless they went above and beyond and actually redesigned the whole physics engine just for that one character, which probably would have been a little bit silly in the long run. And this is one of those stages that I always remember a lot from Tekken 3, this like more dojo stage.
You lose. Tag battle. Fight.
And usually if the characters don't have any like common poses, what you'll see is they'll just kind of, the character who is the one who just played as last will kind of pose in the front, and then the character who's the tag team partner will just kind of be in the background and be doing their thing behind them. But if they're like a tag team, they will kind of be posing together, and they'll look like they're actually, you know, supposed to be together, not that they're two characters. Like, for instance, here with Jin and Nina, they're more or less both just doing their own things. Whereas, as you see with Paul and Lei there, Paul was patting Lei on the head. It seemed like he was trying to wake him up, so that was like, as they would call it, a tag intro. And this jungle stage is always iconic with a lot of the Tekken games through the years, of course. And now, new characters introduced to Tekken Tag Tournament were Tetsujin, which I always thought his name was Tekujin because he was metal, but it's Tetsujin, which is the metallic version of Mokujin, and of course Unknown, a mysterious woman who is controlled by the Forest Demon, or as I always call him, that wolf creature that's behind her. And if you didn't know, the cool part about Tekken Tag Tournament HD is that all of the features of the PS2 version, including the Tekken Ball mode, are ported over to the HD version, so it's actually pretty cool. And now for some reason I'm remembering when I'm seeing Paul here, when I tried my first gameplay as True Ogre in Tekken 3, it was Paul who actually kept on beating me, and like after a while I just had to quit because no matter what I did, Paul actually just ended up defeating True Ogre. Because the problem is, as I mentioned in that video, if you're dealing with one of these bigger, like, tank characters when it comes to a fighting game, unless you really know how to utilize their moves, which, as you can see from my True Ogre gameplay, I really didn't, you really have to be careful when it comes to a character who's fast, or in Paul's case is fairly fast and has a lot of strong strikes. So, if you don't know, be careful what you're doing, you can easily get defeated by a character who can literally and figuratively run rings around you. And if you didn't see Paul there, he was about to do like his like really hard punch, which I forget what that move is called. Someone's gonna tell me in the comments, I'm sure it's like the Phoenix Strike or the something fist or something. But I can remember one time a friend of mine and I were playing Tekken, and he's like, let me have one attack, and then we'll just play. And he did that, and he defeated me. And now, of course, here is the time when you're not against Brian Fury and Heihachi. And I'd never actually seen this before. It's Kazuya and Unknown. And Kazuya actually turns into... Kazuya and Devil. And instead of them tag teaming, they transform into each other. So Kazuya transforms into Devil, and then he can transform back into Kazuya when you hit the tag button. And I thought that was really cool when I played this. I was like, wow, I never saw that before. And just like in my last video when I had mentioned, whenever I see Kazuya's purple suit there, it always makes me think of Tekken 2 when I would fight against him in the arcade mode, and he would just constantly be beating me, and no matter what I did, I could not defeat him until like way too long of playing over and over again in matches against him and of course finally Devil, because like in this match here in Tekken 2, you defeat Kazuya and then he turns into Devil. And of course, there's nothing other than making it a much harder fight that him turning into Devil does. And I can remember several times when I was playing this gameplay, I was thinking, oh, well, the AI is definitely going to defeat me, because at this point, I'm even looking at the edited footage, and I actually only lost one match, like, kind of toward the middle of this gameplay, which I was kind of surprised. Because I'm okay with Nina, and I'm decent with Jin, but I'm not really that great with either character. And I know I mentioned this in every time I play any kind of Tekken Tag Tournament version, but what I think is one of the coolest things is when you actually beat Tekken Tag Tournament as Unknown, you actually get to see her CGI ending, in which she escapes from the Forest Demon, as they call it on Wikipedia, or as I always called it, that, like, spirit wolf. And I remember at the time, in the year 2000, when PlayStation 2 came out, I was thinking, wow, that is like some of the coolest looking CGI I've seen, because at the time in 2000, it actually was some rather detailed CGI compared to what you had previously seen on PlayStation 1. And just like in all the other Tekkens, well, a lot of the Tekkens, you'll see how I defeated all the enemies in between showing the credits here. But I remember thinking that the CGI of Unknown's ending was really cool in the PlayStation 2 version of this game. And I was like, wow, graphics are so amazing. Not to know that someday we'd have graphics that were that good in real time. But yeah, Tekken Tag Tournament is definitely an excellent game. And I was very glad I could actually show to you in its absolute pure captured form, as opposed to my previous video I had made oh so many years ago where I just captured the screen. So you can truly see what the graphics of Tekken Tag Tournament look like in the arcade without having to shoot the screen with my camera. And you can see what everything really looks like here. And even though the PlayStation 2 version looks better, it's still a really good looking game in my opinion. Well, this has been another Game Nexus arcade video, and I shall see you later. Bye.